Hello, good evening, my dear friends, both on-site and online. Today, I'd like to share with you the story of my childhood friend, Sherry, whose journey was much like that of an ugly duckling transforming into a beautiful swan. Back in the day, my village was a remote spot by the sea with a vast beach where most people made a living from fishing and farming. And school was all about scrappiness, endless games, and a group of girls who were more like sisters. Among them was Sherry, a quiet and gentle soul. Her quiet nature and slender build made her seem a bit vulnerable, which unfortunately made her a frequent target for a few bullies in my class. While most of the boys were friendly, these naughty ones took pleasure in picking on her. One incident remains in my mind deeply. A day that tested my courage. The naughty boys were especially cruel that day, pulling Sherry's hair and taunting her with dirty words, despite her desperate cries. Seeing Sherry's distress, I couldn't just ask the boys not to do this. This time, I gathered my courage and reported their behavior to our teacher. I think it is the best way to take precaution against bullying. Okay, so thankfully, those boys were punished. However, my act of bravery came at a cost. The boys found out my role about their punishment. They sought revenge. After school, on the way home, 3 boys cornered me. One of them pushed me on the shoulder and said, "Who do you think you are, daring to report on us?" At the moment, I was so scared. Actually, I was even shorter and thinner than Sherry. And I certainly wasn't much stronger. Just as things were about to get rough, luckily, another boy from our class stepped in. From a few steps away, he shouted at the naughty boys, "Hey, don't bully girls!" Wow. The shout distracted the naughty boys and gave me a chance to run away. And that incident became a shared memory among some of my classmates. And I think it was the last time Sherry was bullied by them. And although the bullies were a pain, they ended up forging an even stronger bond between Sherry and me. Nevertheless, our good friendship wasn't meant to last. Why? During the time we were turning 11 or 12, things started to change in our village. Life had always revolved around farming and fishing. But a new way of making a living swept through the whole community. That's it. It was raising fish in large ponds. A practice called, fish farming. Specifically, it's aquaculture. Right? Yeah. And the problem was the fish needed a lot of water, and soon we were taking too much from the ground. This made the ground sink lower and lower, which was really a bad news. As you see the picture. And flood became a worry during the rainy season. And even worse, the seawater started to creep back in. Before we knew it, our beautiful beach has vanished little by little until it was totally gone. Yeah, because all of this, a few families that didn't live on fish farming had to pack up and move somewhere safer. And my family was one of them. That means saying goodbye to all of my classmates, including my good friend Sharon. And that goodbye lasted for 36 long years. A long time, right? Years flew by. Then came our class reunion. I was so excited to see Sherry again. And she was still living in the village. She has blossomed into a powerful and confident woman with a loving family, including several grandkids. And her wealthy family owns a large number of fishing farms. It's amazing to see the quiet girl I remember had become such a pillar of strength. And how about the boys who had bullied her before? Well, they were still living in the village too. And life had a funny way of working things out. Can you imagine that? Sherry married their uncle at age 18. So, ever since then, they had to call her Auntie Sherry. During the class reunion, one of our classmates mentioned that bullying things. Then, we made Sherry sit in a big chair. And the once naughty boys, her nephew now, stood before her and said the following words in unison. Uncle Sherry, we are sorry for what we did to you in the past. They were making a formal apology. And with a big smile, Sherry just said, I forgive you. Yeah. Seeing this, I couldn't help but picture an ugly duckling transforming into a beautiful swan. And, Sherry's transformation didn't stop there. She joins the village garden club, dedicating her life to protecting and promoting our beloved hometown. And thanks to a joint effort between the government and residents like Sherry, the village has become a vibrant community. Even the beach, once swallowed by the sea, has made a remarkable comeback. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. and it's restored charm, attracts people from all over. And now, please look at this picture. The pictures were, the last one. The pictures were taken last month when Sherry and some volunteers represented the village at National Remote Village Improvement Exhibition 2024 in Taipei, where they got the second place and brought our village onto the national stage. I'm so proud of her. And then when I went back to visit, guess who was my tour guide? Sherry, of course. I think a long-time volunteer of the village. We went through all the old spots, sharing memories and joining an activity held by the village garden club. And this is the handout, the map for the participants. You know, our shared life experiences has become legendary tales, a source of endless amusement that we can pass down through generations. Wow. Sharing my childhood friend, a beautiful swan in my eye. Do you like her story?
Yes.
Yes. Please join me in giving her a thumb up. Okay? Thank you. Let me invite our teammate James back.
Thank you, Maggie. It's a wonderful story.